Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another reaction video by yours truly. And in this video, shout out to Cece, we're going to be reacting to recent news, recent drama surrounding a $40,000 Marvel's Rivals creator tournament. So we're going to hop into it. Shout out to Kingsman as well, because I watched this video. We're going to want to hop into the video. We're going to react, and then we're going to share our thoughts at the end. Without further ado, let's hop into the video.
I'm making this video in response to Kingsman's video and also to all the chatters that are going to come in and ask questions again. I'm just going to direct you to this, and it's the last I'm going to speak about it. I'll be addressing any allegations or anything that's not true, as well as I included a clip that Kingsman left out in his conversation with Entei, because Kingsman thought it was like rage bait or something, but Entei took the words right out of my mouth. Like, I could not have phrased it better, and if you take it from a third-party perspective, you might be able to digest it a little better. I want to start off by saying that I did not get kicked from the tournament. I was banned on Twitch for violating TOS, saying something toxic to my friend in chat. I've said it before, but this time it was around a bunch of haters, so maybe it got spam reported, but it was just for 24 hours. The issue is I can't play in the tournament while banned, because if I get streamed and show up in people's streams, it counts as ban evasion. And I don't want to risk other people getting penalized for it. But it has nothing to do with Basim or the tournament. The problem wasn't what he said. He didn't get kicked because he wanted his teammate to swap off Widow. It was because of the way he went about it, the tone he took, and the fact that he continued it for over an hour after being asked multiple times to stop. It was making the team uncomfortable, we were all playing worse, we were distracted, and team morale was just decreasing, and it just was not effective. And we weren't the only people uncomfortable. Our own communities were raising concerns, and his chat also told him to chill out. So this wasn't just a snowflake scenario. I think this is what Kingsman is most upset with me about, is the green light.
This is competitive, if you want it. Train here, stronger out there.
What does it take to face cancer with confidence? It takes an expert team that knows your cancer.
But I don't think he realizes how little I actually had in the decision. Basim was going to kick Kingsman from the tournament, no matter what I said. Basim sent me a Discord message saying, "Hey, this is an urgent call, are you available?" And I said, okay. I muted everything on stream, picked up the phone, and this is what Basim said to me. I've been getting a lot of messages and clips about Kingsman's disrespectful behavior. He was saying disrespectful things about you guys while muted. He was saying disrespectful things about the tournament, and I'm just not going to have that, so I'm going to kick him from the tournament, okay? And then I say, okay, is this confidential? Should I say anything? And he says, no, I'm going to handle it all. So that was the end of the conversation. The reason why I say green light was because I had the opportunity to advocate for Kingsman more. I could have been like, no, he's just really passionate. No, he's a really good player. But at the end of the day, it's Basim's decision. And he decided to kick him from the tournament because of his disrespectful behavior, which I agreed was disrespectful. In hindsight, maybe he should have gotten a warning. But at the end of the day, again, it's just Basim's decision. A lot of you guys are saying that it wasn't disrespectful. But if you go on for an hour after being told to stop, that's disrespectful. That's how it is. And you guys are saying, oh, why couldn't Zaza just swap? The issue is that she didn't need to swap. At the start of the conversation, Kingsman asks, if we go against Simi's team, what do you have for anti-dive, Bucky, blah, 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 blah. And she goes, I can play Widow. And Kingsman responds, that's not multi-anti-dive. And I follow up with, we haven't even played Simi's team yet. We're about to scrim them, but let her try Widow. You've said this multiple times already, just let her try Widow. And then he proceeds to argue more. And we go on to the next map, and you argue more. And then we go on to the next map and argue more. And during this time, I'm telling him to chill. I say, chill, drop the topic, chill. Let her try Widow. That's the whole premise of it. And then we get to the infamous game where she's 0-5. I want you guys to understand, she was going to go 0-5 no matter what she played. Why? Because Kingsman was breathing down her neck, in her ear, for the last 30 minutes. She wasn't focused, she wasn't locked in, she wasn't going to play well no matter what she played. So you guys are like, that was her game. That was her game to show off. That was her chance to prove that it worked. No, it wasn't. Because during that time, Kingsman was still down her ear. We finish that map and we go into the next game and we're still arguing about it. At that point, I have to put my foot down as a captain. And yes, I told him to STFU. But you have to understand, this is after an hour of dragging this conversation on, an hour of me asking him to drop this topic, an hour of just continuous arguing in the team. Yes, I finally told him to STFU. And after that, we won that map with Zaza on Widow. And then finally, the next game, Zaza's able to focus and shoot back. Because no one is down her ear anymore. No one is complaining about the Black Widow pick. She plays so well, at one point, Snakecase swaps off of Venom and goes Magneto. And then by the end of the game, she's MVP. I know some of you guys are like, well, we can't look at stats. Like, looking at the scoreboard is bad. But this isn't about Marvel Rivals. It's about human interaction, relationships, and how you interact with each other, how you communicate with each other. The first day I met Kingsman was draft day. He told me to join a call. I joined, and the first thing he did was question whether I was ready for the draft. He was judging who I was picking. And then he questioned Zaza's Black Widow, if she could play something else, start on something else, before the scrims even start. The first day of scrims was super chill. We're not running triple support, Zaza's on Black Widow, and we're playing against Iron Fist, Magic, Penny Parker. We don't do bad. Like, yes, we didn't win every single one of those maps, but I wasn't concerned about whether we were going to win or not. It was our first day of playing with each other. The second day of playing with each other, the first thing I hear coming out of Kingsman's mouth is, we have to run triple support. Like, that's it. We have to. And I was arguing. I said, not every team is going to walk out on triple support. Anyways, we go on, and then he brings up the point of Simi's team and Black Widow. The only time that we talked to Kingsman was in the start of the scrims and when he was demanding stuff out of us. And that's why I say it's not a Marvel Rivals thing. It's about multiple days where he's just telling us to do something. And that's our only impression of Kingsman, other than the fact that he's good at the video game. From day one, I told Kingsman, rule number 1, don't tilt my team. And rule number 2, don't bring the vibes down on the team, because we're going to lose. A lot of you guys are underestimating how important vibes are in a team scenario. At the highest level of competitive esports, tier 1 esports, you will get booted from a team simply because your team doesn't like you. Even if you're performing, even if you're doing well, if the team synergy isn't there, you're not coming back for another season. This plays a part in why I didn't advocate for Kingsman when Bossum said he was going to kick him. Kingsman already showed that he wasn't going to listen to the rules I set on day 1, and so when Bossum said he was going to kick him for being disrespectful, I had no argument. A lot of you guys are asking why I even drafted Kingsman in the first place if I didn't want to be competitive. I wanted to be competitive. Like, I wanted to win. I, out of all the captains, think I spent the most time looking up creators and deciding who I want in my comp. I knew a little about Kingsman before, and I knew he was a good DPS player. In the clip, I said I was going off the spreadsheet, and I didn't really know him, and it was because people in the chat glazed him. That was clip farm. I said people were glazing Kingsman because I thought it would be a sweet thing. It's nice to have viewers glazing you in other communities' chat. It's nice to think that your community really fucks with you. But at the end of the day, it was mostly the spreadsheet. On paper, it says that Kingsman is one above all, and he plays Magic, Bucky, Storm, Punisher, Doctor Strange, and that he loves competition. He also says that he will try to ally GL and make sure we win.
I vape, but I don't, need to vape, you know? I only do it when my friends do it. Or on the weekends. I don't know. I don't really like to think about it.
You are trapped by a meaningless duty that was never yours.
All great things. Nowhere does it say in the sheet that he loves competition so much, he will criticize my teammate for over an hour to swap. The only way I could have known that he was going to micromanage the team was if I asked other creators opinions of him. But I would have had to do that for everyone in this tournament, and I just don't have the time.
Here's what I would say about competitive games, and it's not just Marvel Rivals, but it's Apex Legends, it's Rainbow Six Siege. These games get so competitive that sometimes you'll run into a player that really knows how to play the game and really knows the best strategies to just have your team be optimal, to have your team just be to a point where it's strong and it's well-rounded and can pretty much go up against other teams, especially in times of need where it's okay, we have to make some adjustments so that our team is strong. Now, I do understand where Cece is coming from. I do understand that synergy is incredibly important in the team, because I play Apex Legends, I play Rainbow Six Siege, and I know that you can get a diamond player, a master's level player, right, to come onto your team, and they're critiquing everyone on that team. Oh, you shouldn't be using Fuse on this map. Oh, you shouldn't be using Twitch with this gun on this map. Oh, you shouldn't be using Pathfinder. That's not the meta anymore. When you get the high level gameplay, you need to be using better picks, meta picks. You need to be using Wraith. That's a more well-rounded character. You need to use characters that you're better with. Use this, try that. It does get draining after a while, and I absolutely understand that. Also, I really do understand where Kingsman is coming from, because it's hard to... Competitive games can be fun. However, it's still competitive, so it's still going to come with a certain level of stress and intensity. Now, if you are on a team that is more so on the casual mindset, or you feel as though the team isn't taking the tournament as seriously as you are, considering that there's money on the line, like, you do have to understand that, okay, Kingsman, he is going to come off a little bit strong. And I think that, you know, when people are picking and choosing which sides they want to defend, who they want to look at, I watch Kingsman video pretty much from start to finish. And so live right now, we're watching Cece's video from start to finish. I really do understand where Kingsman is coming from. When it comes down to a competitive game, things really do get intense. And then when people want to win, especially for someone who has put in a lot of time into the game like Kingsman, he understands the strats. He understands like maybe the more optimal routes that people can take. But at the end of the day, you do have to understand that like people are going to pick the characters in video games that they want to pick. Now, I'm not saying that Kingsman is wrong. I'm not saying that at all, because I've played like competitive games and I've played them like intensely. I just think that this is just one of those areas where, like, if everyone was on the same page, then the team would have been a lot more solid. So there were a bunch of different moving parts that were taking place all at once. Like, Kingsman is extremely passionate about the game. No one can take that away from him. And then when you put money on the line, that gives people more of a reason to take the game more seriously. It is what it is at the end of the day when we're talking about, you know, competitive games. And once again, just to double down, when there's actually like prize money on the line, like people are actually trying to win. It's a casual game, competitive game, and you can have fun, you know, with your teammates. But at the end of the day, people don't want to lose either.
But when I met him, I told my chat, I was like, I fuck with that. Like, I fuck with someone that's competitive. That's fine. I'll make do with it. Like, we can work this out. When everyone signed up for the tournament, no one knew it was going to have a prize pool. No one knew it was going to have $40,000. All it said was Creator Cup. Boston wanted to surprise us. So every single person that agreed to play in the tournament knew that it was a creator-focused tournament and that there was going to be over 50% of the players were going to be one tricks. That's what everyone should have been prepared for. When I call Kingsman a meta slave, I know he plays Magic, and I know Magic isn't meta. The reason why I called him a meta slave was because the first conversation we ever even had was that he wanted the triple support. Then the second day of scrims, his first conversation with me was that he wants us to run triple support. And then the conversation came to Peel. He wanted the perfect counter to Hulk, Venom, Spider-Man with Bucky. And he was very adamant about that. He didn't want to even try playing Black Widow or anything else. He just wanted the Bucky. And that's why I called him a meta slave, because we were arguing for multiple maps about the same thing about meta. He wants to play meta because he thinks the only way that we can win is meta. So I call him a slave to that meta. And you guys like to talk about compromise, like why didn't Zaza compromise? And Kingsman himself said that he would play Mantis. I know he only said that out of spite because we were in an argument and it's just like, here, take it. Like, it was a give me. I don't want him to do something he doesn't want to do. The same reason why I want Zaza to just play Black Widow. I don't want to force her to do something she doesn't want to do. Kingsman called her a hit scan flex, but the reality is she is a Widow OTP that can play Punisher and Hela Phoenix. Another analogy is if someone says, I main Emma Frost, but I can play a Rocket or Luna Snow, that doesn't make them a strategist main. It's the same thing. Just because she can play 3 characters out of the whole pool doesn't make her a hit scan flex. Like, she has told Kingsman that she is an OTP. She's not a hit scan flex. Not once did the words hit scan flex ever come out of her mouth. She told Kingsman that she's an OTP. She never promised Hela Phoenix, like none of that. She never promised. She said she could do it. It wasn't promised. And at the end of the day, you can be like, oh, why wouldn't she? Like, she spent an hour not swapping. Why is she not kicked from the tournament? Because that's not against the rules. You choosing not to swap from one character isn't going to break any rules. But if you berate someone for an hour, that breaks the rules. It's not allowed. That's why Kingsman was booted out and not Zaza or anyone else. Yes, I did read out the chat, because when I'm looking to my right, I'm reading chat that called him a loser. And then I repeated it. I shouldn't have read out that chat because it was disrespectful. That's very hypocritical of me to say that about Kingsman and then say that aloud. That's on me. But I will double down and say replace the term loser with being disrespectful, with asshole or rude. And that's my point. I don't think Kingsman's a loser. I think he's a good player who just wants to win. I think I said that because Kingsman was being a loser. You just criticized and demoralized my teammate for an hour, repeatedly ignoring our mentions to stop. Like, that's loser behavior. You're being a loser for that.
My thing is, once again, like with competitive games, like I understand that there has to be a happy medium, right? And respect is key. And no one's going to argue with that. That's something that I embody myself because, once again, I know what it's like to play competitive games. I know what it's like to be on a team with people who just can't stop talking. And they're like, okay, like, oh, I'm carrying. We only won this because of me. Oh, we're going to lose if you don't do this, if you don't do that. It does demoralize the team. And it does make people play worse because they're like, you know what? If this person is just going to act like that, I'm just going to play whatever character I want to play. And I really don't care about what they have to say. I do understand that. And once again, to Cece's point, I agree. Here's where I also understand where Kingsman is coming from as well. If no one knew that the money was on the line, by Bassam putting money on the line, that serves as a catalyst for like Kingsman to take the tournament even more seriously than what he probably originally came into the tournament with. Oh, this is just a Creators Cup, we're going to have fun and, we're just going to relax. But now giving people an incentive to win gives people a lot of motivation to just go above and beyond and say, look, I really do want to win. Like, I have real needs, for that money. So I'm taking this seriously. I'm not faulting Kingsman at all. Like, if I was in the tournament and then they're telling me that money is on the line, that does give me an incentive to like rock out as hard as I can. But at the same time, I want to make sure that, I'm communicating with my team and that we're not beating each other up about it. Because once again, like, I know what it's like to have like a high level player on your team. And then like, that player is telling everyone else on the team who they should use, who they shouldn't be using, the better strats. Now I have the ability to like take a step back and actually listen to what the person is saying. And I'm like, you know what? This person has some knowledge in the game. This person takes the game more seriously than I do. So I can sort of understand where they're coming from. Because now that money is on the line and everybody who is on our team can eat if we win this, maybe we can take a couple of pointers. There is a way in which we have to like translate information and say things so that it doesn't damage team morale. What I will say is this. I do believe that Kingsman at least should have gotten a warning. I don't think that, just kicking him out the team entirely should have been like the bottom call. But at the end of the day, I wasn't the one hosting it. Bassam was the one hosting it. And like he said in his clip, the only warning that everyone received across the board were the rules. Now, what I do think that, people could have maybe doubled down a little bit because, once again, you put the money on the line. If you're going to put money on the line, you're changing the nature of the tournament in its entirety. It goes from casual to competitive, and even more so competitive because now people have an incentive to win. So you have to understand that there are various different parts that are there are various parts to be considered in this text. I'm not going to sit here and bash Kingsman. I'm not going to sit here and bash Cece. And I'm not going to sit here and bash Bassam either. That's why we watched Kingsman video from start to finish. That's why we listened to what Bassam had to say. And that's why we're listening to what Cece has to say. You have to have the ability to take a step back and look at things from an objective standpoint. And in order to do that, you have to understand the nature of competitive games. Competitive games are going to come with a little bit of stress within a team because people want to win. You can have fun and things still be competitive. That is going to be a little bit of a challenge because at the end of the day, no one wants to lose. I understand where Kingsman is coming from. You don't want to lose. And I also understand where Cece is coming from. There has to be like team synergy, regardless of how good that team is as a unit. Overall, it wasn't the best experience for all parties involved. And that's just how I see it.
And I'm going to say it again. If you make someone sad for an hour, despite people telling you to stop, that's being a loser. And none of you guys in the chats could even you guys were trying to justify that. There's no justification for being an asshole. That's just what that was. So it wasn't a personal attack on Kingsman. If Kingsman brought it up to Bassam and be like, yo, this was a personal attack on me, I would have argued. I was like, no, that's not a personal attack. That's just facts. That's what he was. He was being a loser because he wouldn't let the topic drop. As team captain, I do have a responsibility to cater to all the needs of my teammates, which is why I'm taking accountability for the fact that I could have handled it way better. I didn't have to snap at him. I shouldn't have told him to shut up. I shouldn't have told him to shut the F up. I wanted
If you're living with severe alopecia areata, it's
Kingsman to voice his concerns and his wants and things with the team, but once it got to a disruptive point, I should have just told him, all right, you know what, like, for this game, let's let Zaza just try Widow, and if it doesn't really work, then we can, and you're really adamant about it, let's just let her, like, we can try Bucky or another character. And I agree, my communication was bad because of that. And then also, in hindsight, maybe a warning would have been better and not a full kick. But at the end of the day, that's Bassam's decision because it's his tourney. He invited Kingsman to play, and he can easily take him out if he wants to. I also want to say, in Bassam's defense, Bassam has a list of so many creators ready to sub in. So saying, oh, it's kind of weird how Moxie was able to sub in within 5 minutes. No, he was just ready. He just has a list. The same way that I got replaced because I couldn't play in the tournament on Sunday within the hour. So don't disrespect Bassam like that. That's crazy. And to address the whole bullying a kid thing, I don't really consider you a kid at 20. I did call you a kid when I drafted you and we had our conversation, but that was definitely as a joke because people call me old. And I don't think it was bullying, because to be honest, we were just defending Zaza. You were on her case for an hour. She already said no, and you wouldn't take no for an answer, and so we told you to drop it. Like, it was self-inflicted that the conversation kept going, because we didn't want this conversation to keep going. Before I play the clip that Kingsman left out and you hear the voice of reason from Entei, I want to say that no one on my team hates him. I don't hate him. And I've said this multiple times, I think Kingsman is a good player. I respect his mentality and I fuck with him wanting to win. But I was not the reason he got booted. It was his own actions and behavior that other chatters and viewers, and ultimately Bassam, did not like. I'm not asking for an apology. I'm hoping that by the end of this video, Kingsman understands the team perspective more, and sees that, like, I'm taking accountability. I'm not the perfect person. I could have navigated it better. Kingsman might still be in the tournament if I said something different, or Kingsman might be in the tournament if he did something different. This isn't black and white. Like, it's not about Marvel Rivals. It's not about Zaza not swapping, and it's not about you trying super hard and to win the money. It's about human relationships and just having more respect for the person you're demanding something out of and going about it a different way. Because it's not effective demanding something out of your teammates that you've just met consistently, even after they've told you no.
Kingsman, what I'm trying to get you to understand,
even
though,
in these
is that,
scenarios,
listen,
I am not.
Listen, it's not just Zaza that you're affecting in this. It's also affecting Cece and your entire team synergy, because you're complaining about a comp that they clearly don't want to run.
We still
Okay,
synergized.
fine.
We had a game.
Then you drop it.
Exactly.
Then you
exactly.
drop it.
Exactly.
Bro.
I didn't say anything on the last game. I didn't even say anything.
But
I
you
just left the
did.
tournament. I played ranked.
You said enough, bro. Dog, listen, I'm trying to help you. You did say a lot, man. You said a lot. And like I said, I'm gonna be there for you, because you getting kicked out the tournament is stupid. I get it. But you were overstepping. You were overstepping the entire time. So you can't get mad when all the overstepping that you have done for the past several days. Brother,
we've had one day of scrims after a draft. That was it.
Kingsman,
what do you mean several days?
Kingsman, listen, aside from what rumors may told you, I had known from because I was in everybody's chat. I'm a viewer. You were crashing out about the team from the moment stuff happened. You were crashing out about stuff from the moment you got drafted. All right?
What?
I'm trying to help you out. You were overstepping. You were overstepping more than you realize, bro.
Okay, man. Listen, I just wanted a positive tourney experience, and it's clear that that's not allowed with competitive integrity. So,
all right, guys. So as you can see, that was a reaction video. And once again, like I said, because I've played competitive games in the past and I know what it's like to, you know, take a game seriously and like want to win, I know how important team synergy is. And that's why, like, for me, being on the outside in, not knowing who Cece is, not knowing who Kingsman is, but understanding like just the nature of competitive games, I know how Kingsman felt. I understand that, like, when you want to win in the game, you want everything to go right. You want your team to be as strong as your team possibly can. I know what that's like. And pretty much that could come off as like, okay, like maybe people should switch off. Maybe you should choose this character instead of that character. I've never been the type of person to want to tell people what to do because I don't like people telling me what to do in a video game. I can be competitive. I can be a little sweaty, but I'm not that sweaty. I still do like to enjoy the game at the end of the day, because whether I win with a high level player or not, depending on the team synergy, if we just don't mesh well, then we're going to go our separate ways. Even though we did really well, even if the really good player ends up carrying us through the entirety of the match, I'm not going to want to play with that person the next time around if I have a choice, because you have to be able to communicate with your team. You have to. And if you give off a certain energy, people are going to be less likely to communicate with you. And then that's when you're also going to get people that purposely start to throw games. Now, this is something that a lot of people may not say, or it may go unnoticed because people are staring at the stats board, or people are like, okay, they're not responding, they're not doing this. It is what it is. You have to take the good with the bad when it comes down to competitive games. That's why what's most important in your team is like that synergy. You have to match up with your team. Like, y'all have to be able to cooperate with each other, because people don't like to be told what to do. Everyone saw what happened with that Fortnite tournament. That was one of the most high level, most watched tournaments in the world. When you give people a reason to win, that's not just, oh, you know, we're just going to play a creators cup with, you know, streamers, you know, we're going to be able to network. But then when you're actually giving people an incentive, oh, there's a $40,000 prize pool for like first place. Oh, best believe that competitive players are going to double down on that. They're going to want to make sure that their team is sharp, because now they have more of a reason to win. They have a tangible reason to win this tournament. Kingsman saw the tournament as, bro, if I win this tournament, I'm going to cash in on money. There's a $3,000 prize pool if we win this tournament. I can pay bills with that. I can make ends meet with that. Cece looked at it this way. I want to win, and I do take it seriously, but my team, though, like the team synergy, we have to make sure that we're meshing well as a unit, because the team is just as important as catching a W. Two things can be true at once. It was just a lot of unfortunate circumstances that led to an unpleasant experience, when the basis of the tournament was probably to bring people together, to have some fun and generate some content. But we also have to understand that by Bassam putting that incentive on it, you're changing the nature of the tournament, not in its entirety, but you are changing the overall feel of the tournament, because you're giving people a tangible reason to go hard and to win the tournament. That's how I see it. At the end of the day, your team is just as important as catching a W. You can want to win all day, every day. But if people aren't gonna rock with what I'm saying, if people don't like me as a team member, then it's just not gonna work. Our synergy is off. And if your synergy is spot on, it makes the game even more enjoyable than it would have been. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let me know how you guys feel about this video in the comments below. Which is more important to you, team synergy or catching a W? And without further ado, we will see you in the next reaction video.